Good morning, Warren Peacock here. We can see that the Australian dollar's just lost 1 point on the overall scores there. The Aussie chart dailies haven't changed much yet. We'll have to see whether this short-term strength follows through to the longer-term charts. The interesting one is the Swiss franc. It's sitting on an overall score now of 9. It gained on the hourly chart, and the important thing is it gained 1 point on the daily, and that was against this US dollar weakness. So dollar lost 1 point on the daily, and that was against the Swiss franc. The euro is on an overall score of 9, so that certainly gained some ground starting on Tuesday with a score of 5. So some strength coming through in the euro. Still on the shorter time frames, and the dailies are pretty far away from changing trend. So I'm not too excited about the euro yet, but keeping an eye on it. The big loser was the dollar. It's now down to a score of 6. And we can see last week it had a score of 8 and 10. A little bit of strength tried to come back in, and then it's just lost ground since then. Again, the important one is the daily chart there. That's got a score of 1 on the hourly. I don't think that's too important. Overall strength and weakness, we've got the Australian dollar the strongest, and we've got the yen pretty much the weakest there with a score of 5. The daily chart, we can see Swiss franc now equals the dollar. So we've got the Swiss franc with a score of 5 and the US dollar with a score of 5, and the euro still weakest overall. The 4 hourly chart shows the Australian dollar strength coming through and the US dollar weakness coming through. And we'll just have to see whether this Australian dollar strength can carry through to those daily charts. Talking about charts, let's go and have a look. And we start with the Australian dollar to the yen. The trend hasn't changed yet according to moving averages, but it has broken above resistance. We could probably look for a small trade. I wouldn't trade this one long term. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see it can be quite choppy. So it's more short-term trader. And if we go down to an hourly chart, there's potential for a head and shoulders. Firstly, it's sitting now currently on support. So there could be a trade here. If it does turn off support, there might be a short-term long. Euro dollar heading up there. It is close to the 89 now. It's broken that resistance level, and that will be euro strength coming through, but I think it's got more to do with US dollar weakness. We'll just see whether it can hold below that 89. There is obviously potential for a short-term trade if it does come back to support. So just keep an eye on the euro dollar, and if it does give us a reversal off that old resistance level, then there's probably a short-term trade in play. The euro to the Swiss franc, we can see here the euro just losing ground, the Swiss franc strengthening. The problem is euro and Swiss franc is a sensitive thing. I won't trade it at all. It's just interesting to keep an eye on it. US dollar to the Swiss franc. The dollar has changed direction. That little triangle formation is broken to the downside, and I'm quite interested in this now. We'll see whether that support level becomes resistance. I would like to see the price coming back to that old level. If we go down to a smaller time frame, we can see excuse me, the hourly chart trying to turn over. So if there's a short-term trade in play, this might be it if it does break below that little internal support level. The Australian dollar to the US dollar, it has broken above that resistance. The averages haven't changed direction yet. If they do, then I could be interested in a long. If we go down to smaller time frames, we've got that little potential head and shoulders gain, but that support level is probably more important, or even the 89 moving average. We'd have to see if we can get a reversal of support. The dollar index is the interesting one. Broken support, but holding up on the 89 EMA. So we'll just see if that does break below the 89, then we're probably in for some serious downside on the dollar. Thank you very much, and we'll chat again tomorrow.